What is up, guys? Victor back here with a brand new video. I know it took a little bit longer than usual with this one, but I want to talk about a very interesting UFC fighter, a fighter that's actually fought in three divisions, not one, not two, but three different divisions, man. This fighter is Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannonier. He currently has a 13-4 record with the UFC, and he fights out of the MMA Lab in Glendale, Arizona, one of the most known fight clubs in all of the U.S., with some very, very talented fighters. But the thing that's mostly interesting about him is that he's fought in three different weight classes, man: heavyweight, light heavyweight, and middleweight. Now, I just want to talk about a little bit of his history and why he's such a good fighter to this day, and what currently has led to his most success over in middleweight. Now, he started out his UFC career 7-0. He fought those 7 fights over in Alaska, where he started out his UFC career. After that, in 2014, he signed with the UFC and had 2 fights in heavyweight. That's where he started at. He started as a heavyweight with the UFC. He went 1-1. He got knocked out against Sean Jordan, and then he came back and won his following fight against Sir Asker via TKO. After that, he went 1-1 with heavyweight, decided to go down light heavyweight to see if he'd had more success. Little did anyone know, he didn't really have that much success. He ended up going 2-3. He ended up beating Ion Cutelaba by decision, and he ended up beating Nick Rourke as well by TKO, but then he'd lose 3 other fights during his time with the light heavyweight division. But those fights were actually very, very hard. They were very highly contested against some of the caliber of opponents that he actually faced. And let me just tell you, these guys aren't easy to beat at all. They're actually in the top of the light heavyweight division right now. These guys are Jan Blachowicz, he lost to by decision. He also lost to Glover Teixeira by decision as well. And he lost to Dominic Reyes by knockout. Those 3 names, Glover, Dominic Reyes, Jan Blachowicz, those guys are all on the top of the light heavyweight division. So who else would have an easy day against those guys besides John Jones, you know? I don't think anyone else. So after going 2-3 in the light heavyweight division after his last fight with Dominic Reyes, he decided to move down to the middleweight division to see if he'd actually have success, since he didn't have that success over at heavyweight and light heavyweight. Which is very interesting because you don't really see that many fighters fight in 3 different divisions, especially with one organization. So he decided to move down the middleweight, and he's had success ever since in the UFC. He's currently ranked number 3 in the middleweight division, and he's actually on the outside looking in, especially trying to get that next title shot against Isreal Adesanya. Now, with Israel fighting Paulo Costa next, it looks like Jared is going to need another fight before he can actually get a title shot. But let me just read off these three names that he's actually beaten in the middleweight division when he decided to enter just a couple years back. David Branch used to be I think it was a multiple champion with the World Series of Fighting, which is now the PFL. Who else? There's David Branch, Anderson Silva, the legendary Anderson Silva, and Jack Hermanson. He beat all those guys by TKO, and he didn't even have to go into the 3rd round with any of those guys. That's how well those fights really went. So with the current success that Jared Cannonier is having, there's no doubt that he's definitely going to get a title shot in the near future, but he definitely needs to have one more fight to certify that next title shot, since Paulo Costa is obviously going to have the next shot at the and crack at Isreal Adesanya, most likely during International Fight Week in July. So who should Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannonier actually fight next? There's 2 names that I have on my list. One is Joel Romero. It makes a whole lot of sense since he just fought for the title against Isreal Adesanya, and he looks like he really wants another crack at the title for about the 5th or 6th time. So that would make a whole lot of sense. And Kelvin Gastelum, who's been in action for a little while now since he lost to Darren Till, I would say that I'd like to see Jared face Darren Till or Robert Whittaker, but those two actually paired up in a contest against one another in UFC Dublin, which is going to go down this summer in September or August. So with those guys actually fighting each other, it makes sense that he either faces Yoel Romero or Kelvin Gastelum. And I believe after he faces one of them, or actually beats one of them, he's actually going to get the next title shot, which should probably happen, I say, by the end of this year. Let's say October, November, hopefully on that New York Madison Square Garden card that usually happens on October, early November. So those are some really good things that that can actually happen to Jared Cannonier. And for some reason, I don't know why he didn't have that much success over in heavyweight and light heavyweight, but his power definitely transitioned down as he went down those weight classes, and they stayed with him. And as he continues to grow as an MMA fighter, he continues to get on. He continues to become better and better as he goes. So he has a very good chance of actually beating Isreal Adesanya. He just has to go back and actually look at the tape at some of the guys that have actually beaten Isreal Adesanya and some of the guys that have actually given him trouble. For example, Gastelum, who actually gave Isreal some trouble, even though Isreal won by unanimous decision. Um, I would like to say Yoel, but to be honest, that fight wasn't really exciting. There wasn't really that much that happened. Isreal Adesanya versus Yoel Romero was basically another remake of. It was a remake of Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou. Barely any action at all. Very lackluster, extremely boring. So, watching that Kelvin Gastelum film would actually help him out a lot. And since Israel is actually scared of power, which is something that Jared actually has a lot of, it gives him a good chance of actually beating the champion. Whether he is a champion or not after he faces Costa, we shall see what happens. But Jared Cannonier has a very bright future at the middleweight division. I don't think he should go any other weight class down. Honestly, don't know what would have happened if he didn't do good at middleweight. Would he have went down the welterweight? I have no idea, but he has a lot of success going on in this middleweight class, which is one of the best in the UFC. And if he continues the upward trajectory in which he's currently at, then he definitely has a lot of good things coming for him in the near future. So that's basically all I have to say when it comes to Jared Cannonier. He's definitely one of the most interesting guys on the UFC roster, and he has a lot of potential, and he might become a future champion himself. So I thank you guys for listening to this video, and I'll make sure to bring out more content in the near future. So thanks, guys.